everyone. Christine Lozano here. Thank you for joining us on Why with Christine. Before we start, I want to give a shameless plug on my viperroomphotos.com website. Viperroomphotos.com. You see it right down here. Go ahead and click on that. I have a book for sale and also individual prints if you're so inclined. This is the Viper Room during the heyday in the 90s, 1995 to 2004. Rare, never before seen photos when I was the in-house photographer for the Viper Room when Sunset Boulevard was the place to be. All right, thank you. Enjoy the show. To move all my
Well,
shit for
I'm
you.
I'm glad I'm glad to see you haven't changed a bit.
Whatever. It's fucking dark as fuck where I'm at. Okay, let me see. Well, it's okay. Really? Okay, Pedro. Oh my God. This is like it did the same thing for Michael. I was talking to him in Switzerland. I just don't think it likes you guys. I don't know. Strasberg. How are you? Turkey.
I'm doing good. I'm
You
doing
look
good.
good.
I just got to Lisbon. I went to Porto, to the north of Portugal, for a film festival a couple of days ago. So I just returned. I walked into my place like 20 minutes ago. So it worked
Okay.
out perfectly. Yeah.
What is this? Is this gray?
Oh yeah, of course. Proudly
Is
wearing my gray.
okay. Okay, George Clooney. All
Yeah,
right.
that's what I
Okay.
was thinking about. Crazy, huh?
I mean, it looks good. You're gonna look, don't just take this for what it is. Don't get your head
Okay.
fucking bigger than it is. But you'll be the type that looks good with the salt and pepper look, you know? Okay,
Thank you
that's
so
my
much, love.
compliment. That was my
Coming from
compliment.
coming
Done.
coming from you, that's like paddles to my ego.
Yeah, well, that's the only one you're gonna get. All right. So we're gonna start, and like I said, if it cuts out, just bear with me because I'll have to do it again. It all takes an editing. I do edit this, so
Okay, let's
if you
go.
want me to cut out anything, I can cut it out,
No, no,
whatever.
no. It's okay. Let's roll and talk and have some fun.
It's already started. We have Pedro Hossi
Let's go.
here, is in Portugal. Oh my goodness, one of my oldest. You were like my brother when in LA. Everyone thought we were like, well, we fought like brothers and sisters, but yeah, we are just like
Yeah,
I
you know, like let me tell you, we're recording already, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I think we had something in common that from what I remember, like from the get-go, I think both of us we really loved the process. And I could tell straight away in the way you worked, like the way you approached the work. And I think you could see that on me as well, right? Like even though I think I was a little bit more of a bohemian, I was enjoying the LA life, right? And I think you were more focused, but still, like I think whenever we hit the stage and we worked a lot together because David
Yeah.
Strasberg he linked us, right? Like, and he made us work on several things. I
Yeah,
think,
and the it was in the lab, like that special one-off
yeah,
thing
Harold
that
Pinter, Harold
yeah.
Pinter.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, yeah.
So I think, yeah, we both of us we had like a serious approach to the work, right, to the craft. So I think that really brought us together. Even though, yeah, we fought like brothers and we had like different points of view, but I always regard you as somebody I really love, you know, like, and I cherish the what we did together as partners, you know, like acting wise, and I miss you.
Well, I miss, I miss you too. But you know what they say, you always go for the strongest you see in the classroom to act against because that's where you're going to learn from, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's what I always thought as, when I met you in the lab, and for those who don't know, when we were at Strasberg, the lab, they were I guess we were picked out from people. I don't know. We were chosen to work with David on certain projects or whatever. So it was called the lab.
Hmm.
And yeah, you just like, okay, you see this guy walks in thinking he's like fucking, I don't know, James Dean or Marlon Brando or something. You're like, all right, let's come on, let's go, buddy.
I think I was more of a Steve McQueen.
Oh my God,
No,
that's
I'm
right.
joking. I'm joking. I was listen. I think it's funny because we all have our heroes, right? Like people that we look up, right?
Oh,
Acting
mine
wise. But
mine was always Betty Davis. I love Betty Davis. Yeah.
well, yeah, and I understand why. But at the end of the day, listen, you will be better served if you bring Christine to the table or Pedro, right? Like we can't really emulate somebody else for that long. We can do it for a while, but I don't think you can make a career out of that.
No, well, you inevitably you always have to bring something to you, or it's not going to be real, right? I
Yeah, of
mean,
course.
that's at the end of the day. We're going to talk into all your acting stuff. I do always start with how I know you, and we already went into that. And you had probably the most, and I've been in LA for like what 30 years, but the most fantabulous place. Your place was awesome, dude. It was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Um. And then, and then you left LA, right? And then, yeah, you left
Yeah,
LA.
well, I left LA. I was in LA for a while, like
Yeah,
almost 10 years. And then I got to a point where clearly I needed to change something. I wasn't very happy. I I had some stuff happen to me, like personal stuff,
yeah,
like my
yeah,
brother, my sister. So I had a couple of really heavy things happen to me. And I remember like at one point I was like, okay, nothing's really happening for me here. And it's funny, right? Because I was in LA and I was so close to the whole industry, but I wasn't there at all. Like, and I know that so well right now. It's something
yeah,
so clear to me that it never had to do with talent or I just wasn't there. I
yeah,
wasn't there. So nobody was going to pick me for any projects because I wasn't available. I just wasn't there, like I was there physically, but I wasn't there.
yeah.
And I
No, it's
remember I remember at one point I got like an offer to do a TV show in Africa, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna leave LA, like the center of the world, to go and do some TV show in Africa." But and listen, I'm so glad
yeah.
I said yes because then my life really, yeah, everything changed. Like it's yeah,
It's, you know
yeah,
what's crazy? And then we'll go on to the questions, but what's crazy is I was in LA for 30 years and I came out here. I'm in Texas now. You know that.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and I got out here. And bitch, the world is crazy. I got an agent that represents me in New Mexico, Texas, and the Southeast. It's like I was in LA
That's
for so long,
amazing.
never got like, it's like it's weird and it's yeah, but I think LA sometimes you do need to take that break. Um and it's not the hub of everything. Like everyone thinks that's where everything happens, but now people are realizing that the industry is a lot outside, especially with everything
Of course.
that is happening in LA. But yeah. Okay, so let's go into the questions because I'm
Okay.
interested to know. But Pedro,
Tell me.
what what was the first movie you saw in the theater, and does it still hold up?
Um, I gotta be honest with you. I really tried to remember, like and I couldn't come up with one specific film. So I'm gonna talk about a couple of movies that really uh, impacted me when I was young.
Yeah.
I think we can take that route. I think it also works well. Um, I remember E.T. and I don't think I'm alone here. Like I
Yeah.
think for people my generation, it was a movie that it was really impactful. So E.T. Was probably the first movie that really, like it really hit me in the center of my chest, like um obviously now I understand it's like it's masterfully done. It's Spielberg, right?
Mhm.
It's a Spielberg movie.
Yep. Yeah.
So of course we're talking about one of the greatest, right? Like directors ever. But also the story, like and the hope and the love and the suffering and the urgency and everything's there, right? Like
Mhm. Mhm.
obviously we're talking about aliens, and at the time I didn't know what to think of that. Now I just hope if they're out there that like that we get to know that while we're alive. I would love for that to happen, right? I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm hopeful that they're out there and they're watching us. But I remember that ET had like a huge impact on me, but also Back to the Future was a movie that like I watched that movie several times, always like with loads of like enthusiasm. I remember whenever I went to the theater, I think I did it more than once for sure. Yeah, it was another one of those movies. Like I don't know why, but I remember that I was really drawn to that narrative. um so yeah, those two really, if I have to go back and make and make the exercise of like trying to remember the first movies that really impacted me, I think those two, yeah, are
It's
probably my
interesting.
picks.
That's interesting because, like, you're talking about the love and everything for ET. Well, in Back to the Future, he goes back and tries to make everyone's life better. So he's like trying,
Yeah,
So there's that whole connection thing.
yeah.
That's interesting. Someone, uh, ET, I think has been mentioned once before, but Back to the Future has hit a lot of people. Yeah, people like
And
have
I've heard,
mentioned.
like I've heard several really smart people talk about Back to the Future as one of those movies that, in terms of structure, like first act, second act, and conclusion, it's almost close to perfection, right? Like the way it's written
Yeah.
and the way the director takes us, with the actors, of course, through the whole journey. It's pretty close to perfection, right? I have to go and see it again, but I remember it was another movie that really, it just like hit me in the right place. And I think the great movies always do, right? Like
Yeah.
they do something to you. Yeah.
And let's talk about casting because do you know that they originally were going to cast Eric Stoltz as
Oh
Marty
yeah.
McFly?
In
Yeah.
the Michael G. In the Michael G. Fox role.
Yeah, so if you can go
Okay.
online and look at it on the YouTube, you can see his screen test. Eric Stoltz, it's like at the diner with
Okay.
yeah, look it up, and
Okay.
it's a whole different feel. It's a whole
Yeah.
different feel because
I
when
couldn't I
Michael
couldn't imagine. It's funny, right? Like I couldn't imagine anybody else doing what
no.
Michael G. Fox did. It's
It's
funny,
a
yeah.
whole different movie. It's a whole different
Yeah.
movie. So I would check that out because yeah, you see it and you're like, ooh, because Eric Stoltz didn't have that lightness that Michael J. Fox did. That's that sort of
Yeah.
kid innocence kind of thing,
Yeah.
Eric
Yeah.
Stoltz was kind of angry. He was just like, oh, I gotta go and do this, He was just
But
sort of, but
listen,
yeah,
like, and I'm sure that that's perfect for a bunch of other roles. You end up like having an amazing career as well. But
yeah,
it's one of those roles that I can't really imagine anybody else doing that. Right? The energy that Michael G. Fox had was something palpable, right? Like
yeah.
you were
Well,
like,
Eric Stoltz went off and did what? Elephant Man. So there you go.
well, there you go. That's
There
not
you go.
bad.
No,
Not bad at all. Yeah.
no. So, but so we're gonna something you hit on in the beginning. I want to ask you, and this, the way I wrote it, I'm gonna ask you, but I'm interested, because what I wrote is what's the most surprising difference you notice between the acting industry where you're at as opposed to Hollywood or wherever else you acted before, Africa, England? How's the what's the difference from everywhere you've
Yeah. Well, I've been doing a lot of TV here,
hmm
and this goes like on a regular day. I'm almost wrapping a TV show now. I wrap on the 15th, on May 15th. And a normal day for me is shooting sometimes 20 scenes. That's not normal. Because if you're doing a movie, you're shooting two scenes, right? Like two, three maximum. And we're doing that every fucking day. Every fucking day. So I think that's the difference, right? Like, it's it has nothing to do with the industry, but more the type of work I'm doing, right? Like TV. I don't know in the US, like if people are shooting 20, 30 scenes a day. I don't think so. Even if you're doing a TV show, I think they pay more attention to the scenes, right? Like you take more
hmm
time, you have more time, you have more money. Here we operate on a really tight schedule, and it's not that I'm complaining because listen, you have to get into the rhythm of how things go. You got to be quick doing stuff.
hmm
You're working with three cameras. It's like a multi-camera system. You memorize to forget straight away
Yeah.
because you're doing so many scenes a day that you
Yeah.
can't, like the you memorize like literally to forget straight away, right? Like so. um
It
and yeah,
sounds
but
like the daytime what we still have we only have four left in California, but like daytime soaps.
yeah.
They do like maybe 50 to 100 pages, maybe even more a day. When I was on GH, I never had that many pages because I was a U5. But I mean,
Mhm.
it was like boom boom boom, but if you're talking about like prime time, no, they do a lot of pages but not that many scenes.
Yeah,
Uh
that's like but something else, Christine. Like I remember when I was in LA, like I said, like I had a couple of big auditions for stuff, and I went like far in the casting process, but I never really worked in the industry, like I did a bunch of student stuff,
yeah.
like, and now I've been working professionally for a while, right? Like, so it's a different world when you're working professionally, right? Like when you get into the studio every day, and you have your scenes to do, like, yeah, like I said, I feel that LA for me, we were close to it, but I never really got into the whole machinery of Hollywood, right? Like, so now, yeah, now I've been working professionally, yeah. So to me, that would be the difference. Was when I was in LA, not really. At one point, I was working developing stuff at RCR.
Yeah.
I wasn't acting at all. I was working more on the production side. Um, but yeah, like I
Did you
think.
film? Where did you film Sergio?
Oh, okay. I filmed Sergio in Thailand.
Okay.
Yeah, I was shooting a TV show at the time, and I got the self tape request from the casting director from the New York office, and I did it. And that's the amazing new world we live in, right? Like you can record yourself long distance and send the tape, and if everything goes well, like 2 3 weeks afterwards, that's what happened to me. I was in Thailand.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that movie. I don't know.
Yeah, and well, that I do because I want to know, like,
I know you love Wagner Moura.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's not talk about
you want
my
you
boyfriend.
want some gossip on Wagner
No,
Moura?
I don't. Be quiet. Don't be jealous. But no, he no no no. You're such a dork. You're such a dork. But she was it a Thailand based team like crew? Or was it from were
Oh
they
yeah,
shipped up?
like
Okay.
no, yeah. Because I met them in Bangkok, and then
Oh, okay.
we traveled to a little town where we recreated Timor. Okay. So, and they were coming from Jordania, I think, the whole crew, because they had started shooting the film like 3 weeks prior to me joining them.
Okay.
And yeah, like listen, it was a Netflix production. I think they had a pretty
Okay.
decent budget.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so big crew, all the commodities, like everything done properly, right? Like, and then you see the difference of yeah, like when you have money, and I'm assuming they had a good budget going on. Yeah, that reflects right on
Yeah.
everything, every
And that's different than
single.
like a budget than you have on TV productions and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah, we have good budgets here, but nothing compared to
Netflix?
that experience. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And like you had Wagner Moura in the lead, Ana de Armas. She's one of the biggest stars in the world right now.
Mhm.
But yeah, at the same time, I remember, like everything went pretty smooth. I loved working with Wagner. He's also one of my, like my favorite actors. I've been a fan of that guy for a while. So to be able to share the screen with him and
Dope Thief. That's all I want to say. Dope Thief.
huh? Oh
Dope
yeah,
Thief.
yeah. He's yeah, that show is on right now.
Uh,
I started
love it.
watching. He's pretty good, man. He's a really good actor. And I remember, right? Like I was because I had to pretty much like school him on the in the movie, because I'm playing the president of Timor,
Okay.
and he's playing Sergio Di Mello, the guy from the United Nations. So I had to like show him that we were being destroyed by Indonesia, right? So the scene is pretty tense the first time we meet. And I remember, right, like we were rehearsing, and I was like, oh man, like I really have to go, like, and go for it, right? Like with this guy that I love and I'm such a fan. But I remember I was like, come on, he's such a good actor that I can do whatever, that he will respond, right? Like, and that's exactly what you see in the movie whenever we interact. And I go, right? I go strong, like and I could tell that he obviously, right, like he was happy, because
Yeah.
then it just
Yeah.
elevates the whole scene. But yeah, really cool experience. And at the same time, I remember, like I didn't feel any difference in the process, right? Like you have more money, you have the trucks, you have a huge crew, but
Mhm.
between the action and the cut, it's just actors acting, right? Like and cameras moving, and people, saying lines, and looking for ways of gaining their objectives, right? So the process, it's the same one we learn in acting school. It's funny, but that's it, right? Like that's what we do.
Well, let me
Yeah.
ask you something though, because I've never done a film with you, only the stage. But are you a guy? Do you like a lot of rehearsal time? Are you a lot of takes kind of guy? Are you because like I'm going to be directing this thing in September, and as a director, I'm like a three take person. If you can't get in the third take, we got to reassess. So, what as an actor, what do you and what like have you done? Have you worked with directors that like fucking I don't know Clint Eastwood. Let's do 100 takes or what? I mean, what do you like a lot of takes? Or are you just sort of like this? Do you like a lot of rehearsal?
Listen, I can see why some directors love a lot of takes. For example, Michael Mann supposedly is one of those guys that just shoots. He just keeps shooting, right? Like he's always going after new stuff, and always, and like there's that scene between De Niro and Al Pacino
And
in
heat.
Heat. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think they did like 100 plus takes, right? Like it's a famous example of a lot of takes. I I tend to get better with takes, but if we rehearse, I don't need a lot of takes.
Okay.
So if we do, like for example, in Sergio, I remember Craig, the director, he rehearsed the day before at night in the hotel. So we would get to the hotel, we would go to a room, and he would talk about the scene, and we would go over the scene, and then he would have us like stand up, and he would move with us, right? Like as
Okay.
the camera would. So we would do that several times. And I remember the day of shooting, there wasn't much to do. You know what I mean? Like it was done. He did it. So I can also operate pretty well in that style of directing or with that style of directing. But I appreciate takes, you know, like I don't get like anxious with more takes. I get more relaxed,
Okay.
especially if the director is going after something and it has nothing to do. If I'm the problem, then yeah, tension arises, you know the drill, right? But if it's not about me, and if the director can communicate that well, and if he's going like, no, I'm just looking for something else, I
Right.
don't mind. We can do fucking 100 takes.
Yeah.
I operate well both ways, but I like to I enjoy the rehearsing process. I love that. Even if
Okay.
you don't give everything, and I think it's smart not to go full on. But you know, like you have a handle on the words, you kind of understand how the other person is acting opposite you. You understand how the camera's moving, you know, like so everything is like settled. And then the day of, yeah, you just
Yeah.
set fire to the whole thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yes and no. I mean, I don't like a lot of rehearsal because I tend people seem to, I guess if you have less stronger actors, they tend to repeat everything they do over
Ah,
and over
yeah,
again.
of
Yeah.
course. Yeah,
So,
yeah, of course. And then
yeah,
you lose like the
yeah.
magic, right? Yeah.
So, but but that's the whole point of having strong actors. But this is going into the third question. When you're playing different characters, I'm sure you play different nationalities. How do you develop the physicality? How do you, of the different cultures? I mean, obviously well, I don't know about obviously, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but do you do a backstory? Do you do animal work? I know,
Yeah,
don't laugh when
I
I say
I
that, but
I understand. I understand the question, especially because you know, like we're both trained like in a certain technique. It's
yeah,
called the
yeah.
method, right? Like I think I today I'm way more.
Where's David? No. And what
Yeah, no,
you want a baseball reference just to
I
make you feel
just
like you're at home?
I just feel that once you're inside those walls, it's a little bit like a church, right? Like the technique and the you're so immersed in the whole method. But I think once you start working and working a lot, you understand that the technique is learned to be forgotten almost, right? Like I don't I my process is always different, always like
Okay.
always different, always. And I the way I work is like if I'm starting a new project, I just keep myself open because I know I'm going to be going after stuff. I'm
Hmm.
going to be looking at people. I'm going to be listening to music. I'm going to be reading stuff. So whenever I'm starting a project, I'm always like searching for stuff, you know, like, and that doesn't happen when I'm not working. If I'm not
Yeah.
working, I'm not searching for shit. I'm just relaxing, right? No, honestly,
Yeah.
I don't have that mind that I'm like, oh, maybe I can imitate that walk for a role. If I'm not working and if I'm on vacation, I
Okay.
don't think about work at all.
Yeah.
Nothing, zero. But once I'm starting a project, then I've realized that I'm just very curious, more curious about everything around me, right? Like it's like I'm always looking for stuff, always. So Um, it's always different, you know, Christine. And then it just comes up, right? Like sometimes it's a walk, sometimes it's there's a certain animation in my body, right? Like I did like something that it was like a hugely successful TV show here in Portugal, where I played like an abuser, like a guy that really abused his wife, and it was about domestic violence. It's listen, people still like approach me pretty much every day talking about that because it just ended like a month ago, whatever. And I remember, you know, I was like, no, like I'm very physical usually in my acting, but I was like, no, this guy doesn't move that much, right? Like he looks you in the eye. He's very still,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't move that much. He doesn't have to. But once he does, yeah, he
Looks like
just
a
goes
lion,
for it.
like a lion.
Exactly. But there is a lot of, I remember like there was something that I really went for. I was like, there is an economy of movement
Mhm.
with that character I did. But now I'm doing a guy like you know, he's trying to make it in life. He's a liar, you know, like he's like stealing here and there. So he's very fluid, right? Like he's
Okay.
charming people to get
Yeah.
whatever he needs from them. So he's very animated.
Yeah.
He's very charming. So it always depends. It's always different, Christine. You know the drill, right?
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
different.
The next one. Okay. All right, Pedro. If you could star in any remake of any classic film, which one would you choose, and what differences would you add? What would you add? What Pedro? Little salt to Pedro.
You know that that's a very tricky question, right? Like because if you if you go and come on, like most performances you can't really go and add that
Do films
much.
all the time. Come on, like when they redo a film, you're like, why? You know.
Yeah, but it's very hard to. That's not an easy task, right? To go and say, hey, I would go and I would choose the Godfather and play the James Caan. It's very hard, right? Like because usually people are casted for a reason and they do a pretty good job. That's just a reality. But sometimes you love a movie so much or an actor so much that that you think about that, right? Like you entertain the thought of going and
You could do Bullet on a motorcycle. How's that?
no, like listen,
You're like,
Steve McQueen was perfect there. The same way, listen, I remember I I'm gonna let's take a different approach here, okay? Both of us, we love me and you, and I know I speak for you as well. We love Marlon Brando, right? Like most actors do. He's an actor's actor. He's the one. Like Daniel Day Lewis, this as well. Robert De Niro. Certain guys are just actors, actor, right? Like everybody loves them because yeah, we can look or observe the way they work and we know we are witnessing excellence, right? Like they excel whenever or most times, not always, most
say
times.
Pacino over De Niro. I know that I'm going to cause a fight with that, but yeah, I
No,
would.
it's
I would say,
okay. It's
yeah,
okay. It's
yeah,
a personal take. I love Pacino as well. I
yeah.
saw him on the stage several times,
Oh,
so I could see like he's a monster on stage, a real monster, you know, like talk about like somebody you can't take your eyes out of
yeah.
him. I know you because you're looking at Al Pacino, but it goes beyond that. He has something. He's so commanding and so right. But for example, I remember when I watched Streetcar Named Desire, and this was a play I worked on in acting school quite a bit. I would never in my life go and play Stanley Kowalski and say, "Hey, I would love to show my take." on how to do Stanley Kowalski, right? Like you can't touch what that guy did there. Like there was an acting. This is just my personal opinion, okay? But you had an acting style before Streetcar Named Desire. It was very punctuated, right? Like people were very, oh my god! It was a very, I don't know, over the top type of acting, and he just goes there and he destroys that. You remember, right? Like he's picking his nose,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
scratching his balls, right? Like he's an animal. He just goes after Vivian Lee with the passion of the Thunders, right? Like it's like so. I don't know. Like maybe in another life, I would love to go, and if he hadn't done that, and with the information I have now, yeah, maybe I would go there and try to do something. But it's a very. I remember for a while, like I watched Modigliani with Andy Garcia, and an amazing actor, another incredible actor. But I remember like watching the movie, and I was like, man, I would love to do that on the stage. I was really Modigliani, really, and for a while I was like here in Portugal, I was thinking about doing Modigliani. Not that I would do better than Andy Garcia, not at all, but I always thought like, okay, I would bring my own thing to the, like to the storyline, and that guy, and everything he's going through, disease and love and passion, and he was broke, they had no money, they slept in the streets, they fought, they drank, they, like, I was like, okay, I would love to do that maybe on the stage, not necessarily go and say, hey, Andy Garcia, move over, here comes Pedro.
I think you're too humble. I don't look at it like that. I mean,
Yeah,
you are
you
very
know what
good.
I mean.
You would give it. Oh my God, is this the second compliment I'm giving you? You would give it Pedro's taste, which is different than
Yeah.
Andy Garcia, which would be different than Marlon Brando. I mean, you know, my do you remember my first play at Strasberg? I mean, I went in there like fucking forget about dipping your toe. I was like 2 feet in it playing fucking Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And there's no way I could play Elizabeth Taylor, a 60-year-old. I had to play Christine, you know.
But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. And not we can't, like, that's a very stupid thing to do, to compare actors, right? It's the same as like comparing trees or people or clouds, right? Like we can't. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody brings their own thing. But let me tell you something. I didn't meet that many actresses in my life, especially in acting school, that could have pulled off what you did. So now you take the compliment.
Mm,
Okay?
well, thank you. Yeah.
Even in New York, right? Like because I always thought that the level of talent in New York, because I studied in the Strasberg in New York as well, not to compare, but yeah, I think it's the city, right? Like New York is more brooding, right? Like people are more like into the process, whatever. LA, it's always sunny. I don't know if that has something to do the difference of the schools, but in New York, I saw a lot of talent, a lot of talented people. The same in LA, but even in New York, I didn't meet, many people that could have pulled off what you did. So you definitely had whatever Tennessee Williams was going after when you wrote that play.
Mm,
It's a
mm.
Tennessee Williams play, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine, right?
No,
Like,
wait. It's Albie. It's Albie. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is Albie. It's Edward
yeah,
Albee.
I know, I know, I know.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm all like nodding on yeah. No, I'm just thinking, yeah, it was yeah, but that
it's Tennessee Williams, right?
it's Albee. It's Edward Albee. Who's
Oh, it's
Afraid of
not
Virginia Woolf?
Tennessee Williams.
No,
No,
no, no.
Tennessee Williams. He wrote "Cat on a Hot Tin Roof."
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, that Elizabeth Taylor played as well, right?
And Streetcar, yeah, but we were talking about Streetcar, who's William Tennessee Williams and stuff like that. Yeah,
No, but
but
that has nothing. It had nothing to do with Streetcar. I knew about Streetcar. It had to do with Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh
And I know
yes.
she played in the movie opposite Paul Newman in the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Cat on a
Yeah.
Hot Tin Roof. And I
Yeah.
think Richard Burton, she played opposite Richard Burton in Virginia Woolf, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to save face now.
No, we're on the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that was Albie. But I did do Tennessee Williams with Sweet Bird of Youth. Monk, stop eating the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sweet Bird of Youth. An amazing play. Yeah, yeah. But
Gr-
you know what, Christine, and let me tell you something. You were definitely one of the best actresses I've worked with, and I'm not paying. This is no bullshit conversation. We don't do that, right? Like, because yeah, I've been around them, and I hope you know that, right? Like,
well,
you
thank you.
you could be a contender for any of those roles that those girls are doing, right? Like Frances McDormand,
Oh,
that caliber of actress, right? Like, yeah, like I can see you go honestly against the best of them. But then, yeah, we know it's who knows why it
yeah.
works, or sometimes it doesn't work, or it takes longer. We don't know. We don't
Yeah.
know shit, right? Like,
No.
but has nothing to do with your talent. You're like a fucking powerhouse.
This is not about me, Pedro. This is about you. One of the last ones because I don't want to take up too much time, but
Yeah.
I know you love your motorcycles, but what's a personal passion or hobby outside of acting that reflects you and you know where you were from that just I don't know like did when you were in LA did you have to sort of did you try to blend in? I mean, are you more you where you're at now? Did you bring out Pedro, you know, in LA? I don't know. I didn't we didn't talk a lot. Well, I do know when we talked about Angola
Yeah.
because one of my favorite songsters was Cesaria Evora. I love her so much.
She's
I
from Cape Verde.
well, but she's that's near
It's close
Angola,
by,
isn't
yeah.
it?
And they also speak Portuguese. Okay.
However, I love her. But anyway, so I always associated that. But anyway, so what? All right, you're getting me back about the Edward Albee. But anyway, so what's the what do you do? What are you doing when you're not
um,
memorizing
I
120 pages?
yeah, I I've become, I think, I don't think I always was, but I've become a student of life. And what I'm trying to say is that I'm very interested in understanding how I can be less anxious, less stressed, less depressed sometimes, even though I don't feel like I'm somebody that suffers a lot from depression. But yeah, definitely here and there, like there were times where I could feel it like creeping in, you know. So that's something that really, really changed for me from the time I was in LA, that I think I was, you know, like immersed in that LA lifestyle, the girls and the not the clubs. I was never like that was never my style, but the going
Yeah.
out and meeting people and the drinking and the you know and the whole bohemian
Mhm,
aspect of life.
mhm, mhm.
And now I think not now, but that really changed for me. I was gonna say, yeah, that there was like a spiritual dimension that opened, but I think all of us were spiritual beings, really, right? Like all of us,
Mhm.
and that's we all we're on a journey, and this is like some sort of experience. I don't know if you feel that way, but it's like life is weird, man, right? Like it's the whole like the operatics of being alive, and you know you're gonna die, and everybody you know is going to die, but you still have to wake up happy, you know, like, and it's very weird. So I I think a lot about that, right? Like, what am I doing here? How can I be better? How can I better serve the people I love, and not only the people I love, everybody. I really try to be a good human being, and I don't know if I was really concerned with that when I was in LA. I think I was in a different space, and now I really think about my actions daily. I try to tell the truth. Most times it's very hard to always tell the truth, but like I get really caught in stuff like that. I traveled to India 4 or 5 years ago, and
Oh,
India had a huge impact on
yeah.
me.
Wow.
Huge. I went to Rishikesh and I lived in an ashram for a while. So as I approach, I'm getting older, right? I'm 46 now. I feel that I'm my spiritual self, whatever. I don't want to get into the whole like hippy dippy bullshit conversation, but I really feel that that dimension of my life is taking a front seat. Like
Mm,
as I see my grandparents getting older, and I do my best to spend time with them, and I don't know, like I feel that that occupies a lot of my time these days. The stuff I read, the podcasts I listen to, like for example, Ram Dass was somebody that became a huge influence in my life. Like I think he's the father that a lot of us didn't have or didn't
mhm,
had. Um, so yeah, definitely, like that spiritual dimension is something that drives most of my actions these days. Like of course I love driving my bike. I love being in the ocean. I surf whenever I can.
mhm,
But at the same time, like I contemplate a
mhm.
lot. Some people call it meditating. I don't know, but I spend a lot of time when I'm not working just thinking, like just thinking. If I'm walking, I'm thinking, I'm breathing, I'm conscious of my breathing. I'm trying to, like do whatever I need to do, not procrastinate, because I think most of us we suffer from,
Oh
that
yeah.
bug,
Yeah.
the procrastination
Yeah.
bug. So yeah, I'm just trying to be aligned, like and be a decent human being. And that's not easy. That's not easy.
In this day and time and stuff like that, yeah. I mean, like one of the things I make it a point not to talk about politics or
Yeah,
stuff like that on here because everywhere you turn, it's when they tore down my place, and you've been to my place in LA, remember
or
that?
several
Yeah.
times, yeah.
So, never in a bajillion years did I think that I was gonna, but so now it's that whole reacclimating. So you're talking about being spiritual and everything. Yeah, and that it's a 12-hour drive from LA to El Paso. And that was one of the best drives ever. Just well, I had my cat and my two turtles.
Yeah,
But that was just so like just cleansing because I would
yeah,
I would drive, but you stop and because everything is desert and mountains, but I got a lot into there's a thing called I am, and it's a whole thing, and I even it was just something that I had to do for me because it was like, why is this happening?
yeah.
So it was a thing, but
And it's
yeah,
all it's all perfect, right? Like I know it's not easy to say, and it's definitely not easy to listen to that when somebody tells you that. But I want to believe that it's really all perfect.
yeah,
Whoever designed this, because I think there is a divine intervention here. I want to believe. I don't want to talk religion, right? Like because I think
yeah,
everybody has their own take on. Everybody has their own personal Jesus or God, and I respect everybody, right? Like, but I really believe that everything's perfect, and it's and your journey is your journey, and
Mm.
everything happens exactly the way it should. And sometimes when things like that happen, when you're forced to move out of a place that was so familiar to you, at the same time, I'm sure there was like a new world that opened up for you.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think sometimes, and again, not for me to sound hippy dippy, but if you are in a routine, and I think I was, well, no, I don't think, I know I was stuck. Ego is a huge thing, Pedro. Ego is
yeah.
huge. Sometimes you just got to be like, let me just put that ego away somewhere. It's like this monkey on your back, but so yeah,
Right.
everything, yeah, if you're not doing it, I think it just sort of says, okay, you're going left too much, let me put you to the right.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude,
Hmm.
this has been good. I think this is the longest we talked ever.
Well, not ever on like in front of a camera, yeah, for sure.
Well,
But we always talked a lot, and we spent a lot of time together, right?
yeah,
Like we don't have a hard time talking and just exchanging thoughts and ideas. We always had that. And I'm so
yeah.
happy for you that you're doing this. And like I want the world for you. You know that. I don't need to tell you. And even though we're far, I'm always here for you.
No, I believe you. I adore you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I gotta go down there. I want to take my pictures out down there. Like I said, I talked to you about before
Yeah.
to take the show down there. It's just there's a lot of stuff happening right now, but I don't know how Portugal is with rock and roll. I know like Mexico really do they have rock and roll in Portugal?
Bring your rock and roll, dude.
Yeah.
We'll make it work.
Sergio Di Mello.
The world's Mr. Fix-It.